Blinking is one of the best body language signals that we can read to assess someone's emotional state. It's almost impossible to conceal, extremely hard to fake, and it reveals deep emotional processes that expose people's state of mind. So, in this video, you're going to learn how to read people's blinking, what's the meaning behind really fast blinking rates, and if you can actually use it to detect if people are lying. Hello and welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. Let's get down to it. Now, the first step is to know why do we blink. At first sight, pun intended, blink could be just a mechanism to moisten our eyes and keep strange objects from entering. But there's also a neurological principle of blinking, and it's that it signals certain mental processes. To understand why blinking is so important, let's start with our brain. Our brain interprets our surroundings based on categories. For example, a spoon goes into the eating category, a shirt could go on the wearing category, and so on. But if I show you this, you might not realize at first sight what you're looking at. These are called ranger beads, and they are used to keep track of your steps when measuring distances outdoors. What were you thinking exactly? But they could go on the camping or exploring category. But what does this have to do with blinking? The thing is that if your brain hasn't been able to pinpoint the right category for whatever is in front of you, it will enter a wait cycle, expecting to have more information. And the interesting thing is that you will not blink during that waiting cycle. But let's see another example. You're walking your dog one day and one tourist approaches you asking for directions. You realize the person doesn't know the neighborhood that well, so you ask him, do you know where the school is? To see if you can explain the directions using a point of reference. Regardless of what the tourist says and whether there is a doubt or not in his voice, you will realize that he has no idea of where the school is if he doesn't blink. His brain is trying to remember where's the school, but if there is no information found, then his brain is going to enter this wait cycle expecting more information. So that's a tip that you can use to check if people have really understood you. If you tell someone directions or a name or a word in a different language and they look at you without blinking, that's the most reliable signal that their brain is awaiting for more information. Even if they nod with their heads, and that's something that happens all the time. People nod with their heads just out of politeness, but they are waiting for more information. It's like that Seinfeld episode when Constanza never understood the assignment. And it can be very frustrating that you want to make yourself understood. You think the other person has gotten the message, only to find out later that they misunderstood you. So now you know that you have to confirm with a blink. Now, if blinking is closely related to such an intimate neurological process, it means that when we are under stress, there must be some kind of impact on our blinking rate. So let's talk about fast blinking. Average blinking rate can be around one blink every 3 or 4 seconds. This, of course, depends on the circumstances. If the air is dry or there's wind, then the blinking rate can rise or go faster. But let's say that we are in a controlled environment and there's no need to take the weather into account. If blinking rate goes up or faster, this is a classic emotional marker, and it's reliable just because it's hard to fake blinking rate. When a person is under stress, they could control their hands, maybe their facial expressions, but it would be very difficult to control their blinking frequency. For example, make it slower when they are stressed. Now, when I say that people's blinking is faster, I mean faster in terms of their current and personal baseline. Some people have faster blinking baselines than others. For example, someone can have a blinking rate of once every 2 seconds, and that could be considered fast. But if they do that all the time, then you can deduce that it's part of their body language baseline, that this is part of their behavior most of the time. If the same person's blinking rate goes up to once per second or even twice per second, then that's when you determine that there is an emotional reaction. Remember that in body language, the most important feature you need to pay attention to is any change of rhythm or frequency, whether it's changes in voice tone, hand gestures, and so on. Some people can have a slower blink rate, maybe once every 5 or 6 seconds. So if it raises to an average blinking rate of once every 3 or 4, then we can say that there's an emotional reaction. So always make sure to assess the person's blinking using their natural baseline. Now, one thing is when people's blinking rate is faster. But what about when people begin to blink slower? Well, in general terms, it's the opposite effect. If faster blinking signals that the person is excited, or nervous, or upset, then slower blinking is usually associated with being relaxed. You need to be careful because this is not a black and white distinction. In fact, someone could be relaxed, but at the same time aroused. Like listening to some good old Barry White or Marvin Gaye has this effect. So in those cases, someone could be relaxed, but their blinking rate go up or faster because of the arousal. Makes sense? An emotional reaction to the moment. There's a third factor that we need to consider, and is the length of the blink. So far, we have been talking about the time between blinks, the number of seconds that pass from one blink to another. But this third factor is the time the blink itself takes, namely the eyelid closing and opening. By rule of thumb, think of 1/5 of a second, a blink of an eye, so to speak. There's a subtle correlation between blinking rate and blink length. The faster we blink, the shorter the blinks are going to be, and vice versa. But for now, we are not going to consider that correlation because it will make things unnecessarily complex, and it doesn't really add to our body language reading. But the longer people's blinks are, for example, if they take half a second or more than half a second, that's usually a signal that people feel a bit insecure. Maybe insecure of what they are saying, or maybe they don't want to be there. As usual, make sure to not just read people's eyes, but general body language. Those slow blinks also appear when flirting. In general terms, and with much more frequency than any other meaning, longer blinks signal insecurity. The person doesn't want to be physically there. They will prefer being somewhere else. Now, is blinking related to lying? I have seen many times the claim that faster blinking rate is related to people who are lying, but this is simply not true. It is not completely unrelated, and it's better if you think in terms of being upset. For example, if you ask a suspect a question and the suspect begins to blink faster, you can tell that the question upset him. Maybe he keeps blinking faster and he's answering your question, but that doesn't mean that he's lying, just that the question upset him. In other scenarios, an actual liar could have practiced his answer beforehand to look natural when telling the lie. In those cases, the opposite can happen, that the person tells the lie and they don't blink at all. That happens because they are eagerly waiting for your reaction, waiting to confirm that you took the bait. So just to make it crystal clear, no, fast blinking does not mean lying, but it can reveal when a person has an emotional reaction to a question, or when someone is suspiciously waiting for you to acknowledge what they just said if they don't blink at all. Remember that no single body language signal is enough to reach a conclusion. You keep stacking them during the conversation. Signals such as voice tone, facial expressions, posture, the words that they choose, so you can have a better idea of the person's emotional state. And of course, how credible their claims are. My body language buddies, I would love to know what you think about this in the comments. And don't forget to download my 100 body language tips in the description of this video if you want to read anyone like a book. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.